Hey, welcome back to the BVB podcast. My name's Jacob, joined as always by Carver, rocking the brand new throwback vintage kit. Looks real good. Who's on the back? Nico Schlotterbeck. Did you manifest this? Did you manifest what this whole episode's going to be about?
You're goddamn right I did. I backed him since day one.
It
takes a lot for me to get someone's name on the back of the kit, and I tried to get him for the black kit last year, actually. But for some reason, the Dortmund website didn't register the name and the number, so got it on this one, and I'm very, very happy with it.
Did you wear that one on Saturday? What was your Saturday get up?
I did, yeah.
All right, Carver manifested this. Oh my gosh. It also helps that, I know you have Schlotterbeck on another kit too, don't you?
That was supposed to be that one, that black one,
Okay,
yeah.
I thought it's like it helps that you kind of look like Schlotterbeck, so you should just get Nico on every one of your kits. But
I like to tell people if Schlotterbeck and like Bo Burnham had a weird baby, that'd be me.
Well, yeah, welcome again, guys. It's been a bit since we've done an episode. This time because international break, not necessarily because we were taking extra time off or anything. It feels like this was an extra long international break. I don't know if that's true or not. It just feels like it's been a long time, but yeah. Dortmund officially back. I feel like we had a pretty good international break, like some good showing from the guys, and now we come back. Kovac had some extra time to work on some tactics and things, it looks like. And I always do this where I always get way too hyped and way too into it, and we go hard on an episode about everything's great and everything's fine, and then we lose the next two, and we got some difficult matches coming up.
Yeah, to say the least.
Which we will talk about. Another BVB Frauen update on the way. But, let's start with Dortmund taking down top four, Mainz. I have not checked the table. I've been really bad at checking the table this whole season because why look at it? But I know going into this match, Mainz sitting in that top four spot where we want to be. I don't think, even though I'm still excited after this match, I don't know if we're going to make it. I doubt we're going to make it. But I'm happy with this win. I love it. And a lot to take into with the lineup change to Guirassy out this match. So changing not only, the lineup, but the formation all around too. So you want to start there, Carver?
Yeah, it was the first time that Kovac set up with a back three here. Massively important 3 points against Mainz. We were 10 points behind, and now we sit 7 points behind them. Only 5 points behind Gladbach, who sit in fifth. So the European spot, maybe Champions League is maybe too far out of reach, but European spot is right there because we also play Gladbach at home here towards the end of the season, and we're just now entering the last quarter of the season for Dortmund as well. So welcome back to the listener as well. Started out with a really big surprise and obviously a very important win in the Bundesliga here. Every point matters. Every game is a must-win at this point for us to even get a sniff for a European spot. Like you mentioned, Guirassy being out here, not only with the back three, but also Kovac setting up with Adeyemi and Bayer in a two-striker system. Hats off to both of those two for really pulling their weight in this game. Lots of movement, runs from deep. The work was there, obviously, against the ball. Adeyemi found lots of space and freedom in those central areas rather than trying to rely on the cutbacks from the right or sprints down from the left. Brilliant. Headers from Bayer here to score his first brace for Dortmund as well. This was a really, really surprising but very happy Saturday for Dortmund fans all across the world to get this win against Mainz.
Yeah, I feel like we got our revenge on Mainz a little bit.
It's been a while since we've actually put on a decent performance against them. it feels. The wounds are still fresh for me somehow for that day back in was it 2023 now for the Meisterschale. But since then we've only gotten the draws. We lost 3-0 and then it was the 3-1 against Mainz. So it's been a while since we've actually got some tasty revenge against them.
So starting with the back line, and I do want to just take it back to preseason when we saw, what's his name? I forget his name. God, who
was Shaheen. It Anton?
No, Shaheen. When Shaheen was playing with a back three, and even some of the first couple matches, and we just kept saying, we only have 3 center backs. We can't, this is not sustainable. We can't do this. Coming into this match with a back three, I do say that I felt I wasn't as panicked there because at that time we weren't looking at Chan as a center back, right? But now he's kind of made that full transition into center back. That's where we've seen him all season long. It feels like we have a little extra depth there, especially with Rierson starting in the left back position and Couteau on the right wing back, because you also have Benzabeni who can play that left-sided center back if needed. So it just felt like with Sula healthy too, it felt like we actually had a little more depth in this position. So I wasn't as concerned going into this with the back three. And I feel like it felt pretty solid. But Kobel in goal, Schlotterbeck, Chan, and Anton are three center backs. We had Kuto, right wing back, Rierson, left wing back, Gross, and Oschan kind of sitting in the double six, with Brandt as the number 10. And you already mentioned it, Bayer up top, which I've seen people, of course, he's been playing out on the wings a lot more in the other formations we've been playing. And I know people were really interested with the news of Girassi being out, seeing Bayer in that striker role, what people would call his more natural position. But we also see Adeyemi. They're playing two strikers up top. And going back to Adeyemi and his Salzburg days, he played a lot in this two striker system, whether it was a 4-4-2 more typically or a 4-2-2-2, kind of how Red Bull likes to play. But he's definitely not out of his depths in a two striker role. We've seen it occasionally with Dortmund or him playing up top on his own sometimes. He's obviously been more of a winger for us, but this is definitely a position he is versed in. And yeah, I mean, we saw the results from it. It worked out pretty well, especially for the first goal. But yeah, your initial thoughts just seeing the lineup and seeing how we're lining up. Because one thought or one question is like, did we make this complete change out of necessity purely because Girassi is out? Or was this something you think Kovac really thought about during the international break? And is this kind of a formation we could see moving forward through the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot to take in because, again, Kovac has not ran this back three, and the times that Şahin has tried in the past this season, we have not seen a lot of success, at least at a consistent level. And I've been saying this whole season now, it's only a matter of time before Girassi picks up some sort of knock and is unable to play. And, then it's going to be a matter of who's going to be providing the goals and goal contributions in general whenever our primary number 9 is out. But yeah, like again, thankfully Adeyemi and Bayer really pulled their weight there. My main worry, though, outside of that, was just this double pivot of Ozcan and Gross. That's not, the most dynamic double pivot, and it's certainly not the most penetrative force either to, get behind and break a lot of, opposition lines, try to find a lot of good passes. And then Brandt, with the form he's been in, that's just like a recipe for that midfield trio to be somewhat of a disaster, but at the same time, there's not many other options you can have at the moment. And you did see in that first half hour, it took a long time for Dortmund to try to find the pace of a game. They didn't let too much when it comes to Mainz in our defensive third, but it did only take 3 or 4 passes or even 3 or 4 touches for Mainz to actually penetrate our lines and get into those dangerous areas. But once they did, Dortmund did a good job of staying compact and minimizing those chances. But with the ball, that first half hour, you did start to see Dortmund struggle to find their rhythm a bit until that first goal, that opening goal from Bayer. As much as I've been coming down on Brandt, the pass that he was able to find into that right half space was a beaut. It was really crisp, had the perfect weight on it, and that's what I want to see more from Brandt, actually picking out those passes, because when you don't have your primary number 9 and target man like Girassi, you're going to be needing other players to make more of those central runs, and Brandt was able to actually find Bayer there. It was a bit of a mistouch, and then it falls to Adeyemi, who had the great decision-making and composure to actually pick his head up and pick out Bayer for a tap in there. So that was really, really well done. And started to put Mainz a bit more on their heels, and we were actually able to get more into their attacking third more and more after that half hour and an opening goal there.
So, I mean, since we touched on that first goal, and as you mentioned with Brandt, there was quite a few times where I noticed he had one kind of just a little shuffle pass into the box to Adeyemi. I think it was before the goal. I just noticed a lot more him looking a little better, him looking like the guy that might resurrect the Brandt boys if he can keep this up. But yeah, I was a little worried going in this match with him in that number 10 role, just because purely on form and how he's been this season. It's why not look for a change? Especially, I know there were some reports of Chukwuemeka possibly getting the start, or him really working on his fitness during the international break so that he could start. But yeah, Kovac went with Brandt, and I think it paid off. I also think just having those two strikers gave Brandt a little more options. I don't know. I'm not mad at all with the performance I saw from Brandt, as basic as I could put it. Don't need to ramble too much.
Yeah.
We got the results.
It is kind of crazy that Chukwuemeka, we loaned him in, and the quality that we've seen, just the really, really, really small sample sizes so far. If he were fit, you'd probably want him to start at that number 10 role, right? At least for me personally. And still, here we are, April 1st, and Chukwuemeka, at least to my knowledge, I mean, I could be misremembering, I don't think he started a single game for us so far. And, the most minutes he's really gotten in a game is like 20 minutes. You look at the last 4 or 5 fixtures, he's had 11 against Mainz, 18 against Leipzig, 5 against Lille, and 16 against St. Pauli, and then 20 against Berlin. So, he's trying to get back up to fitness. Kovac mentioned that as well, but he's not quite there yet. And that's a little disappointing because, again, this is a loan move and, he looks so promising so far, but I can't really invest myself into him, nor can the club really financially, at least, in my opinion, if they're not actually getting a bit more from him. And I know I forgot to mention too, Girassi was also a precautionary measure too. So we should be back next week.
I mean, do you want to talk about set piece?
Yeah. Another decision from Kovac. Schlotterbeck actually talked about the end of the game, taking these set pieces. And he said originally like Svensson was supposed to be on those, but, he was still questionable if he was going to get the start and we needed other left-footed players, in-swingers for those corners. And Adeyemi was probably not the right option just because, his ability for those set pieces before, I don't think he's taken many, but I didn't really seem that accurate for whenever he has taken those before. So Schlotterbeck has never taken a corner before in his Bundesliga career after like 190 matches or something like that. So I was definitely scratching my head there, but really, really well placed. Put into dangerous areas, which is, it's so simple to say, but you see at even this most elite level in world football, so few teams have players that are consistently getting corners into dangerous areas. It's really, really a struggle for so many teams across the board. So the fact that Schlotterbeck was able to slot in and get 2 assists right off the bat is really shocking. And yeah, all credit to, I don't know if Kovac was the one that made the final decision there. Either way, that was really, really massive. I do think that this game didn't just come down to those set pieces though. Like, yes, we did score off of 2 of them, right? But you look at the other stats in this game. We had more shots on target. I think it was 7-2, if I'm not wrong. The XG for Dortmund was 2.85. Mainz's was 0.8. So, Mainz had some good looks here. Again, they were able to penetrate our lines a lot early on in this game, but and they did kept trying. They did score eventually later in the game. They didn't give up, but Dortmund were able to still keep their foot on the gas and keep growing into this game. And eventually, I think they got the deserved win, really.
Yeah, it felt pretty controlled throughout the whole match and back on the corners too, like with Schlotterbeck taking those. It is so interesting because he's never taken corners, never really seen him on free kicks or set pieces or anything. He's also a tall guy, like someone you would think you would just put him in the box. So yeah, really interesting to see him just step over those corners. But as you mentioned, like every corner was dangerous, felt dangerous. He's whipping them in with so much power and accuracy. Like, we get 2 goals out of it, so I don't know what else you need to say except it was just wild. It was really wild to see, and you wonder if is this something we're gonna roll with moving forward? Is he gonna still be on those? Like from that, yeah, I think you have to. I also wouldn't surprise me if the next match he's just skying them or blasting them way over, just scuffing them because maybe he was just riding the high. I don't know, but it was incredible.
Well, I know Ryerson, he had a short stint there, and he was also pretty accurate and precise with his set pieces. We've had we thought Gross was that guy, and that match against Augsburg, I had a clip of the corner he took that didn't even stay in play, just went behind the goal. So this goes back several years. It's not just this season. It's not just last season or the 2 or 3 before that. Dortmund as a club has struggled for a long time when it comes to set pieces, whether it's defending or attacking them, to find really a designated player to, just whip in these balls. And overall, yes, Svensson might be the guy to, Schlotterbeck mentioned that. Maybe he's going to get more involved in those. He did play 30 minutes this game. Maybe we'll see a bit more of him in these next few weeks against, we got to focus at just Freiburg in front of you. But yeah, I'd be interested to see who's going to be the 1 or 2 of those guys. Collectively, outside of that, I'd like to just see this team instinctually start fast and finish strong. We rarely see either of those things happen, let alone both. Either it takes 30 to 40 minutes for Dortmund to actually wake up or even concede before waking up, or we are barely hanging on to a lead or a draw at the end of games. So I'd like to see this team actually start fast and finish strong and, just full 90 minutes actually have a convincing performance. This was definitely a step in the right direction, but we're a long way from actually, being more of a force again in that area.
Yeah, one player I guess I want to get into just specific players. If you had anyone else you wanted to shout out or call out, one for me who I guess I'm looking back at the stats and didn't come across that well in the stats was Gross. I thought he was everywhere. I thought He had a lot of touches on the ball, and maybe I just wasn't watching. Maybe I miswatched his game. I don't know, but to me, he stood out to me a lot while I was watching live, and maybe that wasn't necessarily the case. But yeah, any other players stand out to you? Like Bayer, obviously great. Adiemi also good. We hit on Brandt a little bit. I thought Kuto could be better, but him playing in that wingback role, like I like it a lot better than what we've seen before. I like back to him. It's like we've seen him get so little chances, although I don't know how he already has 5 yellow cards and he's going to miss the next match because of that. Getting another yellow card in this.
It's because he gets dispossessed so much. And it happened this game too. That's really why it is. I mean, yes, he cannot defend, and he probably picked up a card here and there for that too. But a lot of it comes down for him, making the wrong decision on the ball, falling asleep at the wheel a bit, and then just losing the ball in a really dangerous area, and then just having to recover and commit a tactical foul to actually keep us from conceding. Yeah, Kuto and Schlotterbeck also have a yellow card accumulation for 5, and they will be out against this Freiburg game, which is really unfortunate, missing Schlotterbeck, who's like the unsung hero, and I mean, in the sense of like the captaincy at the moment here. I mean, I think it's probably going to be a lock for him being captain next year. So it's going to be, a huge loss not having him in the back line, especially if Kovac is wanting to run a back 3 again. I think Anton actually had a pretty solid game. You're seeing, his aggressiveness, his grit, and his ability to really just like assert himself in these kind of games.
Also got really high up the pitch. Like he was making a lot of passes.
Yeah.
From dangerous positions, like into the final third, like he was so high up. I mean, you saw that with all 3 of our center backs. We were pushed so high to just maintain that control. But him especially, he was like making runs too. Is pretty crazy.
Yeah, not too much else from this game here. I mean, both teams kind of came out stronger in that second half, but Dortmund just kind of had a bit more of that edge. Again, I just want to see us start a bit better and just faster again in those first 30 or so minutes. I mean, like there were times where, again, Mainz would get into our final third, right? And we would be defending pretty well, get compact, and then we would actually get the ball here and be in a good position for a counterattack. But whether it was like Ozcan or Gross, kind of making that wrong decision to slow down play again, and that gave the Mainz the time and space to actually get back and recover a bit. And I think we could have been a bit more purposeful and just driven to go up the field and actually put them really on their heels. And I think we maybe could have even gotten a goal a bit earlier this game. But either way, we're kind of finding our feet. And, given all the things considered of Guirassy being out, Mainz obviously putting on some really great performances against us, but in general being in really good form this year. This is no easy task, even though it's at home. And massively important 3 points.
Looking ahead, I was going to wait to preview the upcoming matches, but I do want to talk about talk of Mecha being back. I think he's just a few days out from what I'm seeing. I don't expect him to come in and start the next game, but hopefully start to get some minutes here and there if he is ready to go. How do you see him adding to this midfield, or I guess with Guirassy coming in too? What lineup do you see us running? How do you see Mecha affecting that? Do you think we can play Guirassy with a second striker with him, and we play this? I know that Schlotterbeck might ruin the trying to play 3 center backs again, but what do you see? I guess not just for this match, but is this a lineup we can continue to run with? And Guirassy with a second striker, does it work? Is that Bayer? I don't know. What are your predictions for just like how we go about his next?
Well, it's only one game with the back 3, but we did see some positives.
But we won, Carver.
Yes, I know. So I'm saying I think it could work, especially with having Mecha and that double pivot. He's obviously going to be that physical force. He's taller than Gross, Ozcan. He's a lot more physical. He's a hell of an athlete, a lot more athletic than those two as well. But more than all of that is just his distribution and the weight of his passes. And I mentioned this to Chaz, who I was watching the game with against Mainz here. There were a few times where actually someone in their midfield or even back line gave a really, really good ball in behind here from Mainz. And I was thinking to myself, like, there's very, very few players on the Dortmund side right now that could actually provide passes like that. I mean, Schlotterbeck at times, he pings those balls for sure, those diagonal balls. But just like those straightforward down the line or down a channel, very few players can do that. But Mecha actually has not only like he can have the vision when he's focused, but just the weight of his passes are really, really precise. And I think that could really thrive in a system like this, especially whenever you have Gross next to him to take a bit more of that weight off. Hopefully, if Brandt finds some sort of form or builds on this from the weekend, that could be a pretty solid trio here in the midfield going forward. I still think Kuto's not cutting it at this point. I think it's a lost cause. I would much rather any day of the week, wingback or fallback, put Ryerson in that right-hand side over Kuto any day of the week. And then Svensson, I'd like to see him again, or Ben Zabayani. I think you got some actually pretty decent pickings here for the wide areas. As for the two-striker system, Bayer or Adeyemi, I think can definitely do well in those central areas. We've seen them both play pretty positively against Mainz here, and with someone like Girassi next to one of those, I think it's also going to open up a bit more space for them as well.
Yeah, I think in the wide positions too, it is unfortunate to just see Kuto and that not working out. I don't think that's the top choice. I think putting Ryerson on the left in this match specifically is because Finson wasn't quite ready to start. And I don't really know what was up with Benzabaini. Maybe just him not specifically for that wing back role is the call there. But I think Finson is the option on the left, Ryerson on the right over Kuto. I think that's the call, and that's what we move on with. Go with moving forward. Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see Girassi and another striker and how that works. Like I know Bayer can kind of play that more of like a second striker, like floating around or like a little bit behind Girassi up top.
But also just push the line up too. I mean, he did that a lot against Hoffenheim. You see Girassi drops really, really deep in this team. That might be because our midfield has been so horrifically absent for most of the season. But either way, Girassi is providing an extra body deeper in midfield to be that link up play, to be the target man. And then, the fact that you can have Bayer on the other side of him, pushing up the line, making runs in behind, like you mentioned, doing the runs from channel to channel, that I think can absolutely be effective here. And then, of course, if Adeyemi's not starting and he comes on later in the game against tired legs, that's all the more better. So, we've seen a two-striker system in this season so far here and there. It's been under the likes of Shaheen, so maybe he was still working some kinks out here and there. Again, just one game for this Kovac game, but there is something there, and I would like to see it against Freiburg this weekend.
Yeah, I think Mecha can help too. As you said, if Girassi needs to drop back so much to help just progress the ball forward, I think Mecha in that deeper midfield position who can carry the ball or at least pick out a pass, like that gives Brandt a little more space to push up a bit more. Like it's a better connection, right? Like having Mecha in there to carry the ball through the middle of the park, which can hopefully help overall. All right, before we talk Champions League and Freiburg specifically, do you want to give a quick update on the women's match? Because big old dub over there. It was great. Yeah, it's great that we don't just have to be like, hey, the guys still suck, but the women are women. And like two big wins on the weekend.
Yeah, 3-1 win, still top of the table, still only 1 point above Schalke. I mentioned a few weeks back, but the Riverside Derby between the two women's teams, Schalke and Dortmund, are on April 27th. And tickets were not even out for a full calendar week before they were already sold out for 10,000 tickets. So that's going to be a hot game between the two. And then also be essentially the decider of who's getting promoted if those two teams keep at the pace that they're going at, because only one team is promoted in the Verbandsliga. And Dortmund are, again, only 1 point above Schalke. So they got to keep pulling their weight, which they are. But now you have a really big opportunity to set yourself some distance between the two here in a few weeks. So be sure to check that one out. They've had a few games recently on Twitch as well, streaming across the world. So if you ever wanted to catch a game live too, feel free to hop on one of those. And of course, the Discord channel too.
Yeah, I haven't plugged our Discord yet, so this is a good opportunity. If you want to, one, just get more connected with us, other people other Dortmund fans, people who listen to the podcast. And you can find the link to join just in the description of this episode. Our socials are there too. So if you want to, like I said, get connected with us, chat with us throughout the week. I don't know, we always submit or we'll ask for questions in there. It's just I'm not on Twitter anymore. Honestly, I'm not, it's a terrible space.
We haven't been posting as much, and that's fine.
I'll do a quick check before we record just to see if Newsblog posted anything. And there's still some good reporters on there.
Yeah, of course.
Like Patrick Berger who I use as a resource a lot. But I'm not on Twitter as much anymore. And that's what I love about the Discord is it's there's a lot of people dropping news in there. It's not just me and Carver blabbing and saying I barely chime in. I just like to see what everyone's talking about. And it's a really fun place to just stay connected with other Dortmund fans, especially if you're don't really care for other forms of social media. So again, join the Discord if you haven't already. And we do have a specific BVB Frauen women's channel for updates there. So if you want to find out more about them, if you want to find out, talk through the match day, I don't know. It's a good place to hang out, get some more info, meet some people.
Yeah, it's not a Nazi cesspool. So
yeah, good reminder.
Yeah.
If that's not your thing, you can join us on Discord.
Yeah. I don't imagine anyone that's listening to this is they're like, oh shit.
I'm out. Actually, I'm
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
All right, Carver. Bundesliga. Well, back in Champions League action this coming week, but before that, we got another Bundesliga match. Can we get another win? We are away at Freiburg this Saturday. Can we do it again?
Yeah, focus on Freiburg. Focus on what's in front of you. Yes, we have 3 unbelievably difficult oppositions in a row, or games in a row right after, but this is arguably just as big of an opportunity in terms of keeping European dreams alive. Freiburg are 4 points ahead. It's a great chance to shorten the gap here. You know, beating these types of teams and even just getting a draw against, because we do play Leverkusen again, we play Bayern again. That can make European spot possible, but we have to pull our own weight against these teams that are just above us. We did it with Mainz, we play Gladbach, and we still play Freiburg, who are, again, only 4 points. So I mentioned Kuto and Schlotterbeck are suspended for yellow card accumulation. Chan, Gross, and Rierson all have 4 yellow cards, so they're not far behind and getting a suspension here, so they really need to be careful in their challenges at the weekend. But either way, I mean, we still got to go all out, and we have to get this win on the road. The away games have been a challenge, to say the least, for this team this season, but this is a great opportunity. I mean, we've had opportunity after opportunity, and we squandered a lot of them. But, you know, as of late, there's been some good pickups, and this should be another moment where we have to just continue pushing forward.
Yeah, I used to. Well, this week I'm not going to do it, but I feel like I've often complained about our lack of rotation. And that's mainly because we haven't had the squad to rotate when it comes to Champions League versus Bundesliga. We just play the same people over and over and over again. And right now I'm just like, cool, we got to do it because this is a must-win game if we actually want to get a spot in Europe, if we want to make that a reality. Like you said, we got to go for it. It's very important that we get this win and we close that gap. And then we got to go again against Barcelona on Wednesday. So like, play everybody. And after that, we're not really going to preview this one, but we are away at Bayern after the next weekend coming up. So as you hit on the yellow card
3 away games in a row.
3 brutal away games in a row. But that's why it's so important for like Chan to keep us cool. Who else does you say are on 4 yellow cards?
Rierson and Gross as well.
Okay, so Chan, Rierson, and Gross. Prefer them not to miss the Bayern game, so hopefully they can I don't know.
All 3 of them are so important.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, we cannot lose, really. I mean, I wanted to say Rierson, but I mean, Chan has been surprisingly really, really great in that back line as well. He's been a great leader alongside Schlotterbeck. Gross has been one of the more consistent midfielders this season, despite having some stinkers here and there too. Yeah, we just need everyone to pull their weight here. Freiburg, like I mentioned, 4 points ahead. They've been kind of interesting with their recent form. They got 1 loss and 3 draws out of their last 4 games. And before that, they actually had a span of 4 wins as well. So not many goals conceded when you look at the table here. We actually have more goals conceded than Freiburg here. Again, this is just a must win. We have to get the 3 points against them and pull ourselves up in the table, and then we'll be right behind them.
Yeah, when we win this match on the weekend, I will then start getting rehyped about where this season can end. In the last episode we were kind of trying to get predictions, like where do you think Dortmund can finish? And a lot of people were kind of just average saying 10th, like 12th to 10th, honestly, like not a lot of hope to get out of the little pocket that we've been in for quite some time because we haven't been able to get results in the Bundesliga. But yeah, this Mainz game obviously hypes me up a bit more. And if we can just say it all the time, if we can keep this going,
we got to get 2 wins in a row before we get delusional.
That's the thing. We win 1. I'm like, we got to keep this going. And then we don't. It's not even like a stretch of 3 games that we got to keep going. It's just 1. It's just one after the other. Just get the second, and then we can start talking.
If you look at all at March 1st, we had our 2-0 win against St. Pauli. Then it was the draw against Lille. Then it was a loss against Augsburg. Win against Lille. Loss against Leipzig. Win against Mainz. So are we due for a loss? I hope not at this point. But we have been very, very up and down this last month. But either way, yeah. Again, just look at the oppositions that we have towards the end of the season. A lot of them are ahead of us. So great opportunities for us to get points back. I didn't mention, but we also play Wolfsburg at home too. So it's 1, 2, 3 oppositions that are above us in the table that we can all get 3 points off of. And that can, really easily land us in 5th or 6th if we can just get good results against everyone else. towards the end of the season. I mean, we still play Kiel at home. That should be a guaranteed win. I know it's away at Hoffenheim, but Hoffenheim should be a game that we should also be winning. Outside of that, we just need a point against Bayern and Leverkusen, and then we could be right there.
Yeah, Freiburg, Saturday morning, kickoff at 9:30 Eastern time. And then coming up on Wednesday, a competition where we have been winning. Champions League quarterfinals away at Barcelona. Is this the one team that has actually beat us in this competition?
Yeah, and I'm not even thinking about it. Again, I'm focusing just on Freiburg. The Champions League dreams of somehow getting to the final again or whatever, I'm not really concerned about that. I'm just trying to get back to a European spot in the Bundesliga, not be the laughing stock of the league for more than 2 weeks.
I don't know. I pulled up the Champions League bracket, I guess, the other day, and I was just like, oh my God, it's just 2 games. It's just 2 games of the semifinal again. And that got me which the semifinal, I guess the other team we could match up against is Inter or Bayern is in the other quarterfinal on our side of the bracket. But I know it's Barcelona. I know they beat us before, and they looked really, really good doing it. I don't know. It does worry me. I don't have a lot of hate to be a downer, even though sometimes this whole podcast is a downer. I don't want to just say that we're going to lose against Barcelona. I don't have high hopes. The only thing that gets me going is that we have been pretty good in this competition. But again, they also beat us in this competition earlier. So
at least Schlotterbeck gets a full week of rest before Barcelona. That's nice, right?
Schlotterbeck on the corners, we can do anything we want.
Exactly. He's just going to score straight from the corner. We don't even need a header.
He should go for it. Like, he's hitting them so hard, no one's going to stop it.
Yeah.
Like, Chan didn't even do anything except stick his head up there, bounced off his head and went in. Like, he didn't put any power on it.
Yeah, that was also, I think that was the first header that Chan scored since 2020, and before it was against Freiburg, actually. So 5 years. He scored obviously a handful of goals since then, but they've mostly all been from penalties. So good for him to actually get back on the score sheet from a set piece.
Carver, you got anything else?
No, again, thanks for the listeners for joining back. I know we were off 2 weeks, but enjoy this last quarter of the season. We're almost there. I know it's hopefully we can get a European spot, but either way, we're almost there.
I feel like we're smiling a lot more. Just a win. A win can fix so many things until it all changes. We're going to away at Freiburg Saturday, and then Barcelona in the Champions League on Wednesday. We appreciate you guys hanging out and listening. Join our Discord. Follow us on socials if you want to, if that's still a thing. Link to everything, again, is in the description of this episode. We appreciate you guys hanging out and listening. We will see you later.